Yo, what's up, y'all? Your boy JYD back with another video, and I'm talking about sparring today and sparring stories. So if you haven't, make sure you please hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share, all of the cool things. We are almost at 4,000 subscribers, y'all. So I think we should be there today, man. We about 37 subs away from 4,000, man. Huge milestone. So I want to take a second out to just simply say thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. This YouTube journey has been super fun, but love y'all. But yeah, sparring stories and sparring videos and like the culture of sparring overall in boxing today. So in the past, in yesteryear, as I like to reference it as, sparring videos weren't a thing because it wasn't really no cameras really like that in the gym. It wasn't no sparring videos. It wasn't no like crazy sparring stories. Like, people knew who you was if you could fight, just by the work that you put in while you in the gym. Yeah, when you getting work and you sparring, like your name travels like, no, he or she, like, no, they could rumble, they could bump. But that's really the extent of how far it went, pretty much. Nowadays, people make careers off of sparring, off of being like spar kings and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a cultural thing. The same way, well, I'm not gonna say it's a cultural thing. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. It's a generational thing, right? So the same way sports can evolve, they can also devolve, and in some ways they can do a little bit of both at the same time. The generational culture of today with spars is to, like, get the video, put the video out, and get buzz off of it and whatnot. And if that works for you, I'm all here for it. If it works for you, like, that's 100% cool. If that's how you want to do it and that's your lane, I don't knock nobody how they make money as long as they're not harming other people. And preferably not yourself either. But if that's how you want to make your name, you can absolutely do that. But the issue with that comes that a lot of people don't talk about is, like, you don't really get a lot of world-class work when you're known for doing that. Like, if you're known for being an individual who you record every spar, you post every single spar you get, or let me rephrase that. You post every single spar that you do good in, and like you'll post clips of it or whatever to make it seem as though you be getting out on everybody, but you don't post the whole spar. You don't post when you be getting out on. You don't be posting that. You just post the whole entire, like, highlight reel clips of you getting off on somebody, as opposed to you being transparent about it or not discussing it or talking about it at all. World-class fighters don't like that type of stuff. Whereas though, fighters are in camps. Fighters can be working on things. It could be a whole lot of number of things going on. It could be a situation where as though, a fighter had just come back from being on a layoff. You know what I mean? Like, he might have just fought 2 months ago. He spending his money. He make millions of dollars to fight. He out spending money, making money, enjoying his family because he done went through war his last fight and all that. And he just getting back in the gym, and you want to be trying to record a spar and then try to make it seem like you got out on him. But then you don't record the whole rest of the camp where he done ripped your head off, and then they ended up sending you home early because he'll mess around and knock your lights out every single spar after that. You know what I mean? Y'all don't do that. So it's like I said, a lot of world-class fighters, they don't like stuff like that. So you won't be able to get any work by them because they don't want to deal with the headache of that. I've gotten a whole bunch of work from like a whole bunch of world-class fighters. And one thing that no fighter can ever say is that, like, I run my mouth when I talk about spars or I post videos. I just don't do stuff like that. No, it was a big rumor going on that me and Errol Spence sparred. Me and Errol Spence did not spar at all. We did not spar. We worked together doing drills, but we never sparred. We did drills together. We never sparred together at all. My dad posted a picture, and his caption was, great work. But it, that was an error on his end. We didn't work. That was a mistake, an error on my dad's end, because we didn't work. but he would just, good work today or whatever, and but that was just horrible wording on his end. But me and that man we never sparred each other at all. But let's just play devil's advocate and say that me and him did spar. Let's play devil's advocate and say me and Errol did spar. I would never talk to nobody about that. That's nobody's business. And to be frank with you, it's a spar. Spars are just spars. It is what it is. I done got spars with so many world champions, so many world class guys, so many, you know what I mean? The last camp I was in was Lara camp when he was supposed to be fighting Jennebeck before Jennebeck popped dirty for PEDs. Me and Lara had great work, and you know what I mean. The only people who seen us work were the people that was in the gym. I didn't leave the gym and talk about, oh, me and Lara did this. And I don't care. I was down there for a camp. It was an amazing camp. Lara is a super sharp fighter. Very skilled, very gifted, very talented. But what happened between me and him in that gym is between me and him. And me and him sparred, I don't even know how many times. But that what happened in the ring doesn't mean anything. To y'all, it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? I come down here to do a job and that's it. My job is to come down there, get to work, and leave. My job is not to come down there, get to work, try to record it, try to do weird, sneaky, conniving things, post it up, no. I was happy with the experience. I was happy to learn. I have a huge amount of respect for Laura. He has a huge amount of respect for me. And we shared a bunch of rounds in the ring. But that goes the same for a ton of world class fighters that I fought. You know what I mean? From my brother Julian to Caleb to whoever, anybody who I spar. That's not nobody's business. But that's just how I operate. Everybody don't operate under the same everybody doesn't operate under the same code and ethics that I operate under. And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. It's just something that I don't do. It's something that I don't do. And if you are going to be somebody who goes into, being a super spar star, if that's what you want to do, you got to know what comes with that. What comes with that is a lot of world-class guys more than likely won't want to work with you because they just like, I'm not here for all the cameras and the drama and I ain't here for that. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm out here. Especially if you working with these guys and you're in camp with them, they're out here paying you to do a job. They're not paying you to come out here and try to get footage and do stuff like that. No, be out here, be happy with the experience, be happy that you're getting paid to spar, be happy that you're a part of, some dope camps and, learn from it as opposed to try to take every opportunity is not to be taken to, try to get some type of publicity off of it. You know what I mean? That's just how I look at it. Again, if you do the spar thing, more power to you. More power to you if you do the spar thing. But it's ramifications that come with that. On top of the fact that I'm also an individual who I don't care what happens in the spar, to be honest with you. There's no winners and losers in the spar. I'm one of the fighters that I'm no stranger to saying I've got my ass kicked a bunch of times in spar. I don't care. I learned from that. I don't have an ego with sparring. I do not care. I've got my ass kicked in sparring before, and I've never lost a fight before. I've never lost a professional fight before. Ever. I've never lost an amateur fight before. Never, ever. It is what it is. If somebody said that they beat me up in sparring, guess what I'm going to say? Yes, he did. Even if I never even sparred a person, I'm not going to argue with you about what you did to me in sparring. I'm not going to do that. You have to say some crazy, egregious, outrageous stuff to me or about me for me to be like, bro, come on, don't do that. But you right, bro. You beat me up in sparring. The contract can always be, if you beat me up in sparring, bro, send the contract. Let's do it with 10-ounce gloves on. If you beat me up in sparring so bad, let's do it with 10-ounce gloves on and let's see how it look. You right, bro. You crushed me in sparring, bro. You knocked me out so bad I didn't know where I was at. Send the contract so we can see what it looks like in 10-ounce gloves. You know what I mean? I'm not going back and forth about a spar. I don't care. I'm one of the only fighters that will publicly say, yes, I've got my ass kicked a bunch of times in spar. I don't care. I remember my first time when I was young and I had sparred. He wasn't trying to hurt me. I was sparring B.Y. Jennings. I was maybe about a year and a half in of boxing. And maybe like a year and a half in, a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I don't know, whatever, maybe a year and a half. Who cares? Whatever the case may be, me and BY ended up getting some rounds in or whatever like that. And I remember at that time, I didn't really know enough at that time. His IQ was much higher than mine. But I remember we was working, we was sparring, blah blah blah, and man, I remember he kicked my ass that day. BY kicked my ass that day in sparring. And I remember going home. I've told this story before, but I'm gonna tell it again. But I remember going home that day, like, man, this nigga kicked my, and I wasn't worried about physically getting my ass kicked. Like, what? Who cares? It happens. I don't really care about that. But he kicked my ass, but he also knew so much more than me, and that's what bothered me. He knew so much more than me at that time. And at that time, again, BY had already fought on the world class level, championship fights, and all that way long before I. So his experience was well beyond mine, especially at that point. And he knew so much more than me. So any adjustments, anything I tried to do, like he had an answer for, and it was just like, damn, like I just couldn't do nothing because he knew too much. Him also being a heavyweight played too, but he also just knew more than me. So I remember kicked my ass in that spar, and then I went home and I took a nap. I cannot make this up. I went home, I took a nap, and I went to sleep and had a dream that I was sparring BY, and he kicked my ass in my dream. I cannot make this, I swear. He kicked my ass in my dream, and I woke up like, I couldn't even beat this nigga in my sleep. Like, it was a learning lesson. I learned from it. I was like a year and a half in. I got my ass kicked and went to sleep, got my ass kicked in my sleep. I don't care. I don't care. I do not care. You know why I don't care? Because I've learned from it all, and it made me the fighter who I am today. It made me the fighter who I am today. And shout out to BY, because that's really my old head in real life. Forget boxing, take boxing on the table. That's really my guy in real life. But like I said, again, I don't care. It's a spar, bro. And I was a baby at that time. But yeah, bro, like, yeah, I think this, without being too long-winded with this video, I just think a lot of people make spars into a lot deeper than what they are. It's a learning lesson, and you do the things and you learn from them. And just because you could be the king of sparring and not be good in the fight, I think a lot of people don't realize that neither. You could be a gym hero. You beat everybody up in the gyms, everybody up in the sparring, but then when you get under the lights, you get crushed. People think just because you spar good mean you fight good. That's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as riding a bike. You're riding a bike with with training wheels on it. Just because you can ride a bike with training wheels on it, and then you take the training wheels off, and it's like now it's a whole nother ball game. That's the big difference between sparring and fighting. When you sparring, that's you with them training wheels on. Like, you got the training wheels on. You the man with the training wheels on. And once them training wheels come off, you falling all over the place. You can't do a wheelie. You can't do all the things that you was doing. Nah, it don't work like that, buddy. You are officially on two wheels now, bro. Let me see what you got. You got to understand that just because you spar good don't mean you fight good. And just because you fight good doesn't mean that you spar good neither. It's people that'll tell you I don't spar how I fight. It's people that tell you like the way I spar is not the way I fight. It's so many people that tell you that. It's so many people that tell you. Some people tell you there are some similarities. I don't know. I don't think I spar the way I fight, but I don't care. I learn, I adapt, and I go out there and produce and get the win. So all in all, sparring yesteryear, it definitely didn't have the same things that it has today. And if you are a super spar star, congratulations. But just know there's ramifications that come with that. And you gotta be willing to live and die by it. I know somebody that a lot of people always reference with that is Showtime. And I'm not talking about Showtime Sean Porter. I'm talking about Showtime that's huge on TikTok. Showtime, when me and him actually sparred, we did a whole little thing, built up a whole little social media beef. Then I went out to New York, and me and him had a spar session that we did live on. I did it live on my Twitch at that time, and it was a super dope joint. But he had a fight like the next week, and we were just playing. He didn't beat me up. I didn't beat him up. We just sparred and we just had fun. It was whatever. It was a light sparring, but everybody wanted us to war and to just try to kill each other, which is hilarious to me. But it was like, bro, it's just a spar. and it was just content really as well. It brought a bunch of content to his page, it brought a bunch of content to mine, it brought a bunch of eyes to his and a bunch of eyes to mine. It was super dope. But yeah, like, you know, a lot of people be like, oh, you know, he be posting spars, making me, you know, like, if that's the brand you willing to go with, then go with it. If it works, it works. You know, but hey, everything has ups and downs. But again, like, comment, subscribe, y'all. We almost at 4,000 we almost at 4,000 subscribers, so I love y'all, man. Turn on post notifications so y'all can be notified every time I post here. We just building up the YouTube community, man. I love y'all. Beautiful John. JYD out.